I regret marrying you. Leave my house.
We heard he is wealthy. Yes, very wealthy, they say. We must find out more.
The vulture circled 3 times before Mama Adanna knew her daughter was already lost. In the village of Rika, nestled between the red earth and the palm trees, everyone knew everyone's story. The village sat like a sleeping cat in the embrace of 2 rivers, the great Mambalas to the east and the smaller Idemili to the west. When the rain came, the land turned green and generous. When the dry season arrived, the dust painted everything the color of rust. Rika had one main road that cut through its heart like a scar. On market day, this road came alive with women balancing baskets on their heads, children chasing chickens, and old men arguing under the Iroko tree about things that happened before anyone could remember. The air always smelled of wood smoke, groundnut soup, and red earth after rain. At the edge of the village, where the palm tree grew thick and wild, stood a mud house with a rusted zinc roof. There was where Mama Adanna lived. With her daughter Chioma, the house leaned slightly to one side, as if tired from holding up the weight of their struggles inside. There were only 2 rooms, one for sleeping, one for everything else. Mama Adanna was a widow. Her husband had died 7 years ago, swallowed by the same red earth that fed them. Since then, she had raised Chioma alone. Her hands rough from washing clothes in the river for other families, her back bent from carrying firewood to sell at the market. But Chioma was beautiful. Her skin was smooth like shea butter, her eyes bright like palm wine in the sun. When she walked through the village, young men forgot what they were doing. Old women clicked their tongues and whispered, "That girl will either bring glory or bring trouble." The trouble came on a Wednesday, the day the stranger's car rolled into Rika. It was not just any car. It was long and black and shiny, the kind that looked like it had never touched us before. It moved slowly down the main road and everyone stopped to stare. Children ran behind it, shouting and laughing. Market women forgot their sales. Even goats seemed to pause and watch. The car stopped in front of Chief Okonkwo's compound, the biggest house in Rika, with tall gates and a generator that huge night. A man stepped out, tall and dressed in white, like he was going to a wedding. His shoes reflected the sun. His watch with lights caught everywhere. "Who is that?" people whispered. "A big man from Lagos," someone said. "Maybe Abuja," another corrected. "No, I heard he came from across the waters, from America." By the evening, the whole village knew. His name was Chief Dubem, and he was rich beyond imagination. He had come to Rika looking for a wife, and he had seen Choma at the market that morning. Mama Adanna heard the news from her neighbor, Mama Ngozi, who heard it from the palm wine seller, who heard it from Chief Okonkwo's gate man. She felt a cold hand squeeze her heart. "Chioma," she called from the doorway of their leaning house. Her daughter came, still glowing from her bath at the river, her wrapper tied around her chest. Mama Adanna looked at her daughter, at her youth, her beauty, her innocence, and felt the future shifting like sand under her feet. "Come inside," she said quietly. "We need to talk." But it was already too late. The vultures had already begun to circle. 3 days after the black car arrived, Chief Dubem sent his messengers to Mama Adanna's house. The messengers wore shoes that had never been seen around. He did not sit down on the wooden stool Mama Adanna offered. Instead, he stood in their small compound, looking at everything as if calculating its worth in his head. "Chief Dubem wishes to marry your daughter," he said, his voice flat and businesslike. "He will pay whatever bride price you ask." Mama Adanna's hand trembled As she gripped her wrapper, beside her, Chioma's breath quickened, her eyes suddenly bright with something that looked like hunger. The messenger opened his leather bag. Inside, stack of crisp naira notes sat like promises. He pulled out a small pouch and poured its contents onto Mama Adanna's old wooden table. Gold chains, diamond earrings, a bracelet that caught the sunlight, and it threw it across the mud wall like scattered stars. This is just the beginning, the messenger said. If Dubem is a generous man, that night Chisom could not sleep. She lay on her mat staring at the zinc roof where moonlight leaked through the small holes. She imagined soft beds, air conditioning that hummed like music, clothes that smelled like expensive perfume instead of wooden smoke. She imagined never washing another person's clothes in the river, never carrying firewood on her head. In the darkness, she could hear her mother's breathing, slow, troubled, and sound of a woman who carried too many worries. How long had Mama lived like this? Choma told herself she was thinking of her mother's future too. With the bride price, Mama could rebuild the house, buy a grinding machine, maybe even open a small shop. Wasn't that worth something? But deep in her heart, in that honest place she tried not to look, Choma knew the truth. She wanted the gold for herself. The next morning, Chief Dubem came himself. His car rolled up like a ship, and he stepped out in agbada clothes, so white it hurt to look at. He was handsome in a powerful way men often are, tall, broad shoulder with a jawline that looked carved from mahogany. But his eyes were strange. They looked at Choma the way a man looked at something he planned to own, not someone he loves or plans to even love. Mama Adanna served him kola nuts with shaking hands. The elders from the village came, drawn by the smell of money like flies to overripe fruits. They sat in Mama Adanna's compound, these men who had never visited before, suddenly full of opinions about what a good match this was. The girl is lucky, Edachuku said, his voice loud with palm wine courage. Very lucky, another agreed. How many village girls get such opportunities? Chief Dubem smiled, but the smile never reached his eyes. He spoke of his houses, one in Lagos and the other in Abuja, another in London. He spoke of his businesses, his connections, his plan to make Choma a queen. The words flowed like honey, sweet, thick, coating everything. Only Mama Adanna remained silent, her face like stone. When the men finally left to give the family privacy, Chief Dubem stood to go. At the doorway, he turned to Choma. I leave for Lagos tomorrow, he said. I will return in 1 month for the traditional marriage. Prepare yourself. It was not a question. It was not even a statement. It was fact, solid as the ground beneath their feet. After he left, the compound felt strangely empty, as if his presence had pushed out all the air, and now they were left gasping. Chioma, Mama Adanna said softly, but Chioma was already walking away towards the room they shared, her mind full of white ceilings, soft beds, and life where her hands would never crack from hard work. She did not see her mother's tears. She did not see how Mama Adanna stood alone in the compound as evening fell, looking at the money on the table like it was cost instead of a blessing. She did not hear her mother whisper to the empty air, "My daughter, what are you giving away for gold?" The month passed like water through fingers fast unstoppable, impossible to hold. Chief Dubem sent more gifts. Box arrived with clothes Choma had only seen in magazines. The village watched the whispered. Some women were jealous. Others were quietly sad, though they could not say why. The young men who had once hoped to marry Chioma now looked away when she passed, as if she had already become something they could not touch. Mama Adanna grew thinner. She stopped singing the old songs while she walked. Her smile, when it came, looked like something borrowed and ill-fitting. 2 weeks before the wedding, she tried one last time. They were sitting outside, shelling egusi seeds in the evening coolness. The sound of their work was rhythmic, peaceful. Chioma Mama Ada began, not looking up from her hands. Do you love this man? The question hung in the air between them. Chioma's hand stilled. He will give us a better life, Mama. That is not what I asked. Silence then. Love will come. Mama Adanna finally looked up, her eyes searching her daughter's face. And what about the love that is already here? Chioma stood up abruptly, seeds scattering from her wrapper like rain. You want me to stay here forever? To end up like you, old and tired and poor? Is that what you want for me? The words landed like blow. Mama Adanna flinched but said nothing. I thought so, Chioma said, her voice hard with something that might have been anger or might have been guilty. She walked away, leaving her mother alone. That night, Mama Adanna packed a small bundle, her best wrapper, her dead husband's watch, the Bible her own mother had given her. She walked to the church, knelt down before the altar until her knees ached and tears dried up. She prayed for her daughter. She prayed for wisdom. She rapped and prayed for the strength to let go. But deep in her eyes, she felt it. The thing she had known since the vultures circled. Her daughter was already gone. The Chioma she had raised, the child who had once climbed onto her lap, called her the best mama in the world, had been traded for gold chains and red-bottom shoes. When the wedding day arrived, Mama Adanna, dressed in her finest Ankara print, and tied her hair wrap high. She smiled for the cameras. She danced when the music played. She accepted congratulations from people who suddenly remembered they were her friends. But deep down she was empty. And when Chief Dube's car drove away with Chioma sitting in the back, surrounded by her new life and expensive things, not once looking back at the leaning mud house or the woman standing alone in the compound, Mama Adanna finally understood what she had lost. Not a daughter who was living, but a daughter who had already left long ago, the moment she chose gold over love. Lagos swallowed Chioma whole. The city was nothing like Rika. Here, the air tasted like smoke and ambition. Buildings stretched toward the sky. Chief Dubema sat behind tall walls, topped with broken glass and electric wire. The gate was black iron, heavy, enough to keep out the world. When it clanged shut behind them that first day, Chioma felt something shift in her chest. But she pushed the feelings down and focused instead on the mansion before her. 3 stories of cream-colored stones, windows that gleamed like diamonds, a fountain in the driveway that spilled water, even though there was no reason for it. Inside, everything was white and gold and cold, marble floors that echoed her footsteps, chandeliers that hung like frozen waterfalls, furniture that looked too expensive to sit on, the air conditioning hummed constantly. This is your home now, Chief Dubem said, his hands on her back. Everything you see is yours. But he did not say she was his. He said she belonged to the things, not that the things belonged to her. The first week felt like a dream. Chioma woke in a soft bed, so soft it felt like sleeping on clouds. She bathed in a tub big enough to swim in. A woman named Patricia came every morning to cook and clean. She was thin and quiet, with eyes that looked through Chioma rather than at her. 2 security guards stood at the gate, their faces blank as wall. But Chioma quickly learned she had nowhere to go. Where do you think you are going? Chief Dubem asked on the 3rd day, when she mentioned visiting the market, just to look around, see the city. His smile was patient, like she was a child who had said something foolish. You don't need to go to markets anymore. Patricia handles all that. Besides, Lagos markets are not safe for someone like you. You are too valuable now. Valuable, the word should have made her feel precious. Instead, it made her feel like one of the items in his house. Chief Dubem left early each morning, returned late at night. Sometimes he did not return at all. On those nights, Choma lay in the enormous bed, surrounded by silk and emptiness, and tried not to think about the small mat she used to share with her mother in the village. She tried calling Mama Adanna once, using the expensive phone Chief Dubem had given her, but there was no answer. The village had no cell towers nearby. Her mother would have to walk to the main road to receive calls. And how would Mama Adanna know when to be there? Choma told herself she would write the letter tomorrow, always tomorrow. By the second week, Chief Dubem's temper was like Lagos weather. It would change without warning. One moment he was all smile and expensive gifts, the next his voice would turn to ice because Choma had worn the wrong dress, or laughed too loudly, or failed to understand some rules she did not know existed. You are my wife now, he said one evening, his hands greased. Just a little too hard. You represent me, everything you do reflects on me. Do you understand? She nodded, though she did not understand at all. Other women came to the house sometimes, Chief Dubem friends. He called them. They wore makeup that looked like marks and designers' clothes that hung on their bodies like armor. They had kissed Choma's cheek and called her lucky girl, with voices sweet as poison honey. You came from a village, eh? One asked. Her eyebrows raised like question mark. Chief really went traditional this time. They laughed. Choma laughed too, though she felt the mockery underneath like thorn between flowers. She learned that Chief Dubem had been married twice before. The first wife left in the night, taking only her handbag and shoes. The second one was sent away for a reason no one would explain. When Choma asked about them, Chief Dubem's face went hard as concrete. They were not suitable, was all he said. But you will be different. It sounded like a promise. It felt like a threat. The day blurred together. Choma woke, battered, dressed in expensive clothes. As she sat in an expensive room, she ate expensive food that tasted like nothing. She tried to make friends with Patricia, but the woman remained silent, her answers short as cut rope. Have you cooked and worked here long? Choma asked one morning. 5 years, do you like it? Patricia's hand paused over the vegetable she was cutting. She looked at Choma with something that might have been pity. It pays well, she said finally, which was not an answer at all. 1 month became 2, 2 became 3. Choma's phone, the expensive one, filled with numbers she did not recognize, felt heavy in her hands. She had not spoken to her mother since her wedding day. Every time she told Dubem, he would say tomorrow, always tomorrow. Her body began to change in small ways. Her cough softened from lack of activity. Her skin stayed smooth, but her eyes grew dull. Then came the night everything shifted. Chief Dubem came home late, smelling of alcohol and something else, perfume that was not hers. His eyes were red, his movement was jerky with rage. Where is my food? He demanded. Patricia left it warming for you. I don't want Patricia's food. I want my wife to cook for me. Is that too much to ask? Choma stood uncertain. I can heat it for you. Forget it, he waved his hands dismissively. You are useless, just like the others. Beautiful and useless. The word hit like fists. Choma felt tears burning behind her eyes, but refused to let them fall. I want to visit my mother, she said, suddenly surprising herself. Chief Dubem stopped, turned slowly, looked at her with eyes that had gone cold and calculating. Your mother? Yes, I haven't seen her since the wedding. No, he said. That was flat and final. I said no, he moved closer, his presence filling the space between them. You are my wife now. Your place is here. Your mother is fine. I sent her money, didn't I? What more does she need? She needs me, Choma whispered. Chief Dubem laughed, but there was no humor in it. She sold you to me, remember, for gold and naira notes. You don't get to go back and pretend to be a village girl again. That life is over. He left her standing there in the prison of marble golds and went upstairs to sleep. Choma sat on the expensive couch in the living room, finally let herself cry. But even her tears felt wrong here, too loud in the silent house, too messy for the perfect white surface. She thought about Mama Adanna. Was she still washing clothes in the river? Still selling firewood? Was she eating enough? Shoma picked up her phone. Her fingers hovered over the numbers. But what would she say? I was wrong. I miss you. This golden life is killing me slowly. She put down the phone and laid on the couch. She could not face the bedroom, the bed she shared with a man who owned her but did not love her, and stared at the ceiling. It was smooth white and perfect as she imagined her days back in Rika. But now she understood what Mama had known all along. Some ceilings are made to shelter you, others are made to bury you. Choma had been in Lagos for 6 months. 6 months of white marbles and cold hair. 6 months of being Chief Dubem's beautiful possession. Kept polished and displayed but never truly seen. The day started like all the other days. Patricia arrived at dawn, her face as unreadable as always. Chief Dubem left before Choma woke, his side of the bed always cold. The house fumed with its expensive emptiness. Choma stood at the bedroom window, looking down at the gates beyond those walls of Lagos. She had been in the city for half a year and had seen almost nothing of it. The market Chief Dubem forbade, the branches and the beaches he said were too crowded. The churches where she might meet people who would ask too many questions. Her phone buzzed. A message from Chief Dubem. I am bringing guests tonight. Wear the red dress. Be ready by 7. Not how are you? Not good morning, my wife. Just instructions. As if she were one of the household appliances. Choma replied, okay, and hated herself for how small that word was. She spent the days preparing because what else was there to do? Patricia cooked, the cleaners cleaned, the guards guarded. Choma floated through the mansion like a ghost in expensive clothes, leaving no mark, no sounds. At 6 o'clock, she dressed in the red gown, tight low cut. The kind Chief Dubem liked because it made other men stare and proved he could afford beautiful things. She painted her face with makeup that made her look like the Lagos women, polished, untouchable and perfect. The guests arrived at 7:30. 4 men, all wealthy, all loud, with confidence money bring. Their wives came too, thin women with stretched face and hard eyes. Ah, the village girl, one of the men boomed when he saw Chioma. Chief, you went traditional this time. Very smart. These Lagos women, they have too much mouth. Everyone laughed. Chioma smiled, though the words landed like stone in her chest. The dinner was elaborate. 5 courses served on plates so fine you could see through them. The men talked about business, and the women also chatted along. So Chioma, one of the wives, said, her tone sweet as spoiled fruit. You must tell us about village life. I hear it is so simple there. It was home, Chioma said quietly. Home? The woman smiled. How quiet. And your mother? She must be so proud her daughter married to Dubem. Something twisted in Chioma's stomach. Yes, she said. You often visit her, I'm sure. The question hung in the air. All eyes turned to Chioma. No, not yet. Not yet? The woman's eyebrow rose. But it's been months, hasn't it? My goodness, if I hadn't seen my mother in months, I would simply die. Chioma is very busy adjusting to her new life. Chief Dubem cut in smoothly. His hands finding Chioma's knees under the table, squeezing just hard enough to hurt. Aren't you, my dear? Chioma replied yes, very busy. But the seed had been planted. The women exchanged glances, knowing look that said they understood something Chioma herself was only beginning to grasp. After dinner, the men retired to the study for brandy and cigar. The women moved to the sitting room, settling into the white furniture like colorful beds on snow. Let me give you some advice, one of them said to Chioma, her voice lower now. Almost kind. Men like Chief Dubem, they don't want their wives. They want trophies, beautiful things to show off. You are young, so maybe you don't understand yet, but this life, it has a price. What price? Chioma asked, though part of her already know. The woman smiled sadly. Everything that makes you real. Later, after the guests left and Chief Dubem had fallen asleep beside her, Chioma lay awake in darkness. She thought about Mama Adanna, 6 months, half a year without hearing her mother's voice, without seeing her face. The excuse had been easy at first, adjusting to married life, settling in, but in the truth was simpler and more shameful. She had been avoiding her mother because she did not want to admit she had been wrong. The next morning, Chioma made a decision. While Chief Dubem was at work and Patricia was at the market, she called the village number. It rang 7 times. 8, 9. Hello? A voice, not her mother's. Mama Ngozi, the neighbor. Mama Ngozi, it is Chioma. Is my mother there? A long pause. Enough to make Chioma's heart speed up. Chioma, the name came out flat strange. You finally call. Is my mother there? Can I speak to her? Another pause. Your mother? She's not well, Chioma. What do you mean? She felt something hit her heart. She has been sick. 3 weeks now, fever and coughing. We took her to the clinic, but Mama Ngozi's voice cracked. The medicine costs money, Chioma. Money we don't have. Chioma's hand tightened on the phone. But Chidubem sent money after the wedding. He said he sent money. Yes, he sent money once. That was 6 months ago. It's gone now, used for food, for the roof that leaked, for everything. Your mother, she would not ask you for help. She said you have a new life now, that she would manage, but Chioma, the woman's voice dropped to a whisper. She is getting worse. The phone felt heavy as a stone. I am coming, Chioma heard herself say. Tell her I am coming home. When? Today, now. As soon as I can. She hung up the phone before Mama Ngozi could respond. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was pounding so loud she could hear it in her ears. She moved through the house like a woman possessed. She pulled out a small bag, threw in clothes, not the designer dresses, but simple things, wrappers, a headscarf. She found the money Chief Dubem kept in his study, cash for emergencies. She took half, told herself it was for her mother's medicine. She was at the door, bag in hand, when it swung open. Chief Dubem stood there, his face dark as storm. Going somewhere? He asked. Chioma's mouth went dry. My mother, she's sick. I need to. You need to what? He stepped inside, closing the door behind him with a quiet click that somehow sounded like a prison cell locking. Leave? Without asking, without permission? I was going to tell you. Tell me. His voice was soft now. You were going to tell me that you are running away? That you are taking my money and leaving? It's not running away. It's visiting my sick mother. You don't have a mother anymore. The word came out cold. You have me, this house, this life. That woman in the village, I paid for her. She sold you to me. Remember? You don't owe her anything. Something inside Chioma snapped. She didn't sell me, she said, her voice rising. I sold myself for gold and dresses and a life I thought would make me happy. But this isn't a life. This is a prison. And you are not a husband, you are a jailer. The slap came fast, sharp, across her face. The sound echoed in a marble foyer. Chioma stumbled, her hands flying to her cheek, more shocked than hurt. Chief Dubem looked at his own hand, as if surprised it had moved. Then his face hardened. "You will not speak to me that way," he said quietly. "You will not leave this house. You will go upstairs and put those clothes away. And remember who you are now. Do you understand?" Choma said nothing as tears burned her eyes. "Do you understand?" he repeated louder now. "Yes," she whispered. Because what else could she say? He left then, slamming the door behind him. The sound echoed through the empty house like a gunshot. Choma stood in the foyer, her bag at her feet. Finally, the tears came. She cried for her mother, sick and alone in Rika. She cried for 6 months she had wasted, too proud to admit she had made a mistake. She cried for everything, but mostly she cried because she understood now what the woman at dinner had meant. The price of this life was everything that made her real. And Choma had already paid it. 3 days after the slap, Choma ran. She waited until the house was asleep, until Chief Dubem breathing turned deep. Steadied beside her, his arms thrown across the pillow like he owned even the air she breathed. She moved like smoke through the mansion, no big bag this time. Bag make noise. Just the clothes on her back as wrapper and blouse and money folded into her bra. The side gate, the one the gardeners used, had a lock she had been watching for weeks. Old and rusted, the kind that gave if you knew where to push. She had practiced in her mind 1,000 times. Now her hands moved with certainty, born of desperation. The lock clicked, the gate swung open with a whisper of metal on metal. And Choma stepped out of the golden cage into Lagos night. The city at midnight was different creature, dark and alive and full of sounds. She walked fast, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might break through her chest. She made it to the main road where okadas, motorcycle taxis gathered like metal insects under flickering street lights. The drivers looked at her with curious eyes. A woman alone at midnight, dressed simply but moving with fear? "Where are you going, sister?" one asked. "Motor park, the one with buses to the east." He named the price. She did not argue. Money meant nothing now. Only distance mattered. Only putting miles between herself and the man who had turned her into a thing he could hit. The ride through Lagos was a blur of light and darkness. Choma held tight to the Okada man. The motor park was chaos. Even at night, buses lined up like tired animals, their engines glowing. "Onitsha," Choma called out. From Onitsha, she could get transport to Rika. A driver waved her over. "We leave when the bus is full. Find a seat." She climbed into the bus, finding a spot near the window. The seats were cracked plastic, nothing like the leather of Chief Dubem's car. The bus filled slowly. A woman with a sleeping baby, 2 men arguing about politics, a student with tired eyes and a bag full of books. As dawn began to paint the sky pink and orange, the bus finally grown to life. Choma pressed her face to the window and watched Lagos slide away. The tall buildings, the busy streets. She thought about Chief Dubem waking up to find her gone. His rage would be terrible. He would call people, make threats, use his money and power to search for her. But Rika was small and far away. And Choma was nobody again, just a village girl in a crowded bus. The journey took hours. The bus stopped in every town, letting people off, taking new ones on. Choma dozed in fits, jerking awake every time the bus hit a pothole. By midday, they reached Onitsha. The city sprawled hot and crowded. The river Niger glinting in the distance like a promise. Choma found another bus, smaller this time, heading to villages beyond. She squeezed into a seat between a woman carrying yams and a young man who smelled of palm oil. "Going home?" the woman asked kindly. Choma nodded, not trusting her voice. "Home is good," the woman said, patting Choma's hand with rough one fingers. "No matter where you go, home is always waiting." Tears pricked Choma's eyes. She turned to the window so the woman would not see. The landscape changed as they traveled. The road turned from tarred to red earth. Palm trees appeared, then multiplied. And then there the sign that said Rika, half faded and leaning to one side, just as she remembered. "Stop here," Choma called out. The bus rolled to a halt. She climbed down, her legs shaky. She stood in the main road looking at the village that had been too small for her dreams. Now it looked like the only place big enough to hold her broken pieces. Home, this was home. Choma's feet remembered the way even if her heart was not ready. Down the main road, past Chief Okonkwo's compound with a tall gate, left at the path where the palm tree grew thick, and there at the edge of the village where the wild things began, her mother's house. The mud house that leaned to one side. Mama Adanna appeared with faded wrappers. Choma's bed caught. Her mother looked small. When had she become so small? Her headscarf was tied loosely. "Mama," Choma whispered. Mama Adanna looked up for a moment. She did not seem to recognize her own daughter. Her eyes were confused. "Chioma." "Yes, Mama, it is me." The seeds fell from Mama Adanna's hands. Choma ran. She closed the distance between them and fell to her knees in the red dust, not caring about her clothes. "Mama, I am sorry. I am so sorry. I should have come sooner. I should have." But the words were useless things, too small to carry the weight of 6 months' absence. Mama Adanna reached out with shaky hands and touched her dad's face. "He hit you?" It was not a question. Choma nodded, and tears had been building for days finally broke free. She laid her head in her mother's lap, in the place she had abandoned for gold and promise. Mama Adanna's hand stroked her daughter's hair. "You came back," Mama Adanna whispered. "My daughter came back." "I am sorry, Mama. I am so sorry for everything. For leaving you, for choosing him over you, for being so stupid and proud." "Shush." Mama Adanna's hand stilled on her daughter's head. "You are here now, that is what matters." Around them, Rika continued its slow reading. Chickens scattered in the dust. A goat bleated somewhere nearby. Neighbors began to notice. Mama Ngozi appeared first, her eyes wide with surprise. Then others came, drawn by the news that spread through the village like a fire, through dry gas. Chioma had returned. Chief Dube's wife had come home. They stood at a respectful distance, watching and whispering. Some looked concerned, others looked satisfied, as if they had known all along that gold could not buy happiness. But Chioma did not care about their whispers. Broken, yes. Ashamed, yes. But real. And real was better than gold. Chioma took the money she had bought, the money stolen from Chief Dube's study, and went to clinic in the next town. The doctor was a tired woman with kind eyes, who listened to Mama Adanna's chest and shook her head. "Pneumonia, very advanced. She has been sick for a long time. A month, maybe more." The doctor's eyes held no judgment, but Chioma felt it anyway. The weight of all the weeks she had spent in Lagos, wearing designer's clothes while her mother struggled to breathe. She needs strong antibiotics, rest and good food, clean water. The doctor wrote on a paper, her handwriting quick and efficient. "And she needs someone to care for her. Can you do that?" "Yes," Chioma said, "I can do that." The medicine cost nearly all the money she had brought. Chioma handed over the bills without hesitation. What was money? Just paper, just metal. It could not hold you when you cried. It could not forgive you when you failed. She carried the medicine back to Rika on a bus that smelled of sweat and dried fish. Mama Ngozi met her on the way. "Your mother, she is asking for water, but when she drinks, she vomits." Choma hurried inside. The house, small, was darker than she remembered. Mama, I have medicine. Choma knelt beside her, opening the package with shaking hands. You are going to get better, I promise. Mama Adanna's eyes opened, cloudy with fever. Choma, you are still here? Yes, Mama, I am still here. I am not leaving again. Good. Mama Adanna's hand found Choma. That is good. Getting the medicine into her mother became Choma's whole world. 3 times a day, with food that she cooked herself. Simple things at first, because that was all Mama could keep down. Pap made from corn, pepper soup with fish and broth thin and healing. Later, as Mama Adanna grew stronger, jollof rice cooked the way she used to make it. When Choma was small and the world was simple, Choma whispered and washed her mother's body with warm water and gentle hands. She changed the beddings when the fever made Mama sweat through the night. She also sang old songs for Mama. The village watched, at first from a distance, then closer. Women brought food, yam and vegetables, chicken. They did not say much, but their gifts spoke louder than words. You are home. You are forgiven. You are one of us again. But not everyone was kind. One afternoon, as Shoma fetched water from the well, she heard the whispers. She thought she was too good for us. Now look at her, back where she started. I heard Chief Dubem is looking for her, offering money for information. Choma's hand froze on the rope. Chief Dubem, she had known he would search, but hearing it confirmed made her stomach twist with fear. She pulled up the bucket and hurried home, water sloshing over the side. Mama Ngozi, she said quietly when the older woman came by later. Is it true Chief Dubem is looking for me? Mama Ngozi's face grew serious. His men came 3 days ago asking questions, offering money. She paused. No one told them anything. Why not the money? Money, Mama Ngozi spat the word like it tasted bad. We know what this money brought. We see your mother, how she suffered while you were gone. We see the bruises that was on your face. Second week, Mama Adanna sat up on her own. The third week, she could walk to the doorway and sit in the sun. The fourth week, she laughed at something Choma said, and the sound was like music Choma had forgotten existed. You are getting thin, Mama Adanna observed one evening as they shelled groundnuts together. In Lagos, you were round and soft. Now you are walking again, and it shows. Choma looked at her hands, rougher now, from washing clothes in the river, from cooking over firewood, from carrying water. I like it, she said simply. I feel real again. Mama Adanna nodded slowly. Real is good, real is honest. She paused, her fingers still on the groundnut. Choma, what will you do when he comes? Chief Dubem, she asked. Yes, men like that, they do not let go easily. What they own, they keep. I am not his to keep. He paid bride price. I will return it. Choma had been thinking about this. Every kobo, even if it take years, I will work, save money and return what he paid. Then I will be free. And if he does not accept, Choma looked at her mother. Thin, still but healing, growing stronger each day. Then I will stand by my ground. I choose wrong once, Mama. I choose gold over love. I choose pride over wisdom. But I am choosing right now. I am choosing you. I am choosing freedom. Mama Adanna's eyes filled with tears. My daughter, she whispered, you have finally come home. The following week, Chief Dubem car appeared in Rika. It rolled down the main road like a black snake, drawing every eye. Mr. Choma, the big man is here. His car is at Chief Okonkwo's compound. Choma's hands froze in the soapy water. Her heart began to pound. Then she looked at the cloth in her hands, her mother's wrapper, faded but clean. Her own simple blouse, honest work, real life. She stood up slowly, water dripping from her hands. Tell him, she said, that if he wants to see me, he can come to my mother's house. I am not hiding. The girl's eyes went wide. You want him to come there? Yes, this is my home. If he has something to say to me, he can say it on my ground, not his. She finished washing the clothes and headed home. Mama Adanna was sitting outside when Choma returned. She heard the news. The whole village had heard it already. You are brave, she said quietly. No, Mama, I am afraid, but I am tired of letting fear make my choices. They sat together, waiting. The car came an hour later. It stood outside the compound, too big for the narrow path. Chief Dubem stepped out. He looked the same, tall and handsome, powerful. His suit was perfectly ironed. His shoes gleamed even in the red dust. His gaze landed on Chioma, and something flickered in his eyes, surprise maybe, at how she sat there calmly wearing simple clothes. Chioma, he said, his voice was controlled, but she could hear the anger underneath. We need to talk. Chioma stood slowly. Mama Adanna rise too, but she told her mother, Mama, stay here, I can handle this. She walked forward until she stood at the edge of the compound, close enough to talk. Dubem, her voice clear and steady, you should not have come. His eyes narrowed. You are my wife. You ran away from home like a thief in the night. Of course I came. I am not your wife anymore. His eyes darkened. That is not how marriage works. That is how marriage should work. She corrected. Marriage should be love, respect, partnership. What we had was ownership. You did not want a wife. You wanted a beautiful thing to keep in your house and show to your friends. I gave you everything. You gave me nothing that mattered. The words came out louder than she intended. You gave me gold, yes, clothes, yes, but took away my voice, my choice, my dignity. You hit me, Chief Dubem. You raised your hands to me because I wanted to see my sick mother. What kind of man does that? What kind of marriage is that? People were now gathering. The villagers were watching. Chief Dubem noticed and his voice tightened. He was used to having this conversation in private. Come back to Lagos, he said, his voice softer now, trying a different approach. We can work this out. I was angry that day, yes, but you provoked me. You tried to leave without permission. It will be different if you come back. No, Choma said simply. It will not be different because you have not changed. And I have. Choma, I am returning your bride price she had prepared for this. Every kobo you paid, it may take time, but I will work and save. I will give it all back to you. And then we will be done. You will have your money and I will have my freedom. Chief Dubem stared at her. You think it is that simple? You think you can just give me back some money and walk away? I am Chief Dubem. Do you know what it look like if people hear that my wife ran away and I just accepted it? Do you know what that will do to my reputation? I do not care about your reputation. His hands moved so fast she almost did not see it. He reached out to grab her arms, to pull her towards him, the way he used to in Lagos. But Choma stepped back and Chief Okonkwo stepped forward. That is enough, Chief Okonkwo said quietly. You are in Rika now. Chief Dubem, this is not your compound in Lagos. Here we have different rules. Other men appeared. Elders, farmers, young men who had grown up with Chioma. They did not threaten. They did not speak. They simply stood there as a war between Chief Dubem and the woman he thought he owned. This is not over, he said, his voice low and dangerous. You think this village can protect you? I will destroy you, Chioma. I will make sure no man ever wants you. I will. Mama Adanna cut in. You will leave, Mama Adanna said. She had stood up, weak still, but fierce with a mother's protection. You will get in your car and drive away from my daughter. You have already taken enough from us. You will take no more. For a moment, Chief Dubem looked like he wanted to argue, but he turned without another word and walked to his car. The door slammed. Engine rolled to life as he left. The village was silent. Then slowly people began to move again, to breathe again. Some touched Chioma's shoulders as they passed. Others nodded at Mama Adanna. The elders gathered briefly, talking in low voice, before dispersing. Chioma stood in the compound, her legs shaking now. That the danger had passed, Mama Adanna came to her side and took her hands. You did it, Mama whispered. You stood up to him. We did it, Chioma corrected. The village did it, you did it. They stood together in the afternoon sun in the compound where Chioma had been raised. where she had first learned what love looked like. The house still leaned to one side. The zinc roof still had holes. The earth was still red and poor and honest. But it was home, and Choma was finally and truly free. Please subscribe. Until the next story. Thank you so much. May God bless you. And I love you all.